Okay, guys, since I know this is going to be asked at some point, I decided to go ahead and do a quick video about the bike. Um, it's a 2013 Honda CRFL or CRF250L. Um, I bought it as a dual sport, but I converted it to a supermoto because my back is pretty screwed up, and I know that I can't do off-road. It's just too painful. So convert to a supermoto. Let's see. Yeah, let's just start up top. The bike is essentially stock, mechanically, but I've done a few things here and there. Swapped out the grips. Stock grips are junk. The mirror stocks, these used to be about 1.25 inches longer than they are, so the mirror actually stuck up about here, and I pulled the mirrors out of the mounts here, cut the mirror stock off as much as I needed to bring it down, as much as I wanted it to, and then I went and bought a metric die and rethreaded it. And so now that's what it looks like. The bike, right after I got the bike, I plastic dipped it, and you see a couple little, there's a spot there, a spot right there, but this has been on here for, since 2013. So this stuff has actually held up pretty well. This is I put a RAM mount on here for GPS, and I've got another one of these. My GPS sits like right here, so that you can look over the top of the GPS and still see the speedometer. But I want to put another one on here somewhere, and I use a movie MV10 camera in my helmet, and I want to put another one up here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where, so that I have a rear facing view along with my helmet cam. And that's the remote for my camera. On the front, I bought these little, or actually my brother-in-law bought these little, they're 55-watt halogen lights, and they're really small. You can see the size there. They're only like maybe 2.5 inches wide. They're actually not bad. They're only like $18. So the only thing I want to do on these is, riding around here in Missouri, since everything's kind of brown like right now, it's hard to see deer at night. And so what I want to do is, in both these lights and my headlight, I want to switch over to a blue tint bulb. Now I don't want to go with that really nasty bright blue. That stuff's just, it annoys other drivers. But I think it's like a 6500 color temperature. Would make these work much better. Turn signals. There used to be this. Probably can't see down in there, but there used to be this piece of metal that stuck out off the speedometer mount down here, and the turn signals used to stick out about 1.25 inches, so 1.5 inches more than they do now. And I ground that piece of metal off there, that mount thing that sticks out, and mounted the turn signals back to the main part, and it pulled my turn signals in by about 1.25 inches on each side. I think it looks much better. I got supermoto wheels. These are Warp 9s. 4.5 inch front, 5-inch rear. I'm pretty happy with these wheels. They had a problem with the rear wheel. The spacer was cut too short. The spaces between the bearings in it, and it caused too much inward preload on the bearings, and the bearings went out on it. and tore up the hub. And so I told them about it, and they're like, well, send it in. And but what they did is they ended up shipping me an entirely new wheel. And, great customer service. Have nothing to complain about there. Got a seat concept seat. These are much more comfortable than the stock seat. The only thing is I wish, and I may do this at some point, I wish that down the middle here was like memory foam or something softer, and then keep the outside foam the firmness that it is, because since I have back problems, my tailbone ends up hurting, and it ends up making the rest of my back hurt because of the firmness of the seat. So I'm probably going to cut this out at some point and put some memory foam in there. But this is about 10 times better than the original seat. It's about 1.5 inches wider on each side than the original seat was. Much more comfortable, especially on the street. The tires that I've had, right now I've got a Kenda Cruiser on the front. I had Kendas on it, and I gotta say I like those tires a lot for a supermoto. But I wore my back one out. But on the bright side, I got 9,500 miles out of it. So this is and my rear tire, my Kenda Cruiser was a 150/70, and I wore it out. Man, it was like totally bald. But so I had this tire laying around, and it was almost brand new. It's only got like 20 miles on it. But this is a Shinko 705, and it's a 130/80. So it's about the same height as the original tire on here on a 18-inch rim, the original dual sport tire. So my speedometer is like really close. The only thing is a 130, I don't know if you can really see it there, but the rim, a 5-inch rim, is almost the exact same width as the 130 tread width, and so it looks a little funny. It's just not as wide, and you really had to blow the sidewalls out to get the beads to seat, and I don't really care to do that. It isn't going to hurt it. I just don't like the looks of it. This bag is actually a medical bag that I got from somebody I know, and where the bolts underneath, where the bolts go through for like the fender mount, I took 2 bolts out, drilled holes through, put some big flat washers on the inside of this, and this is now bolted to the subframe. I got the stock exhaust for now. Really the only reason that I've kept the stock exhaust is because I like a quiet bike. I don't like loud at all. I don't want attention. Actually, that's the last thing I want. What else? Haven't done much with the engine and stuff yet. At some point, I would like to put either the 305 big bore kit in here, or maybe go with the CBR 300 engine and the bigger fuel injection and computer and all that stuff out of the CBR. Or the only thing is if I do that, the gear ratios on the CRF are actually better on the highway than they are on the CBR, because this transmission actually has a bit of overdrive built into it, where the CBR doesn't have anywhere near as much overdrive. So if I could actually put the cylinder and head and all that stuff from the CBR 300 onto this engine case, that would be perfect, because then I'd keep my gear, my gearing in the transmission that I like. Let's see, my Anarchy symbols. Yeah, the bike's dirty. My Anarchy signs here. My brother made these. He runs a a print shop in Idaho. I can't remember who makes these. REK or something like that. They're braided steel brake lines. And man, these things, if you're one of those people that isn't completely satisfied with the braking performance on your bike, get one of these, because it's a night and day difference. I have a 12-volt power outlet up here. It's just used double-sided tape to hold it on, so I can plug in a GPS or whatever. And I also have, coming off the battery and using a battery tender plug, I also have a, now that one's run off the ignition. The one in here is connected directly to the battery, so that I can like charge a phone or something, you know, while some kind of low amperage draw device. I can charge in the bag, you know, like if I'm in a restaurant, you know, eating dinner or whatever, I can charge something small with that. Oh, what else? I guess for the most part, everything else is pretty much stock on here. I've done a few things, eliminated a few things for weight savings, like the evap parts. Under the rear, I took out the inner fender well, and I'm going to do something a little different here, but I made my own piece that's lighter weight. And one thing I want to do, though, is at some point I want to put an undertail exhaust on here, which means I'm going to have to redo all this. But the reason I want an undertail exhaust is so that when I get bags, you know, they don't stick way out here. I can keep them in tighter because I don't have to worry about the exhaust melting them, you know, if they happen to be nylon or something. And so I'm probably going to have to make the muffler myself. But I think that's probably about it. But I thought I'd make a video about, you know, all the stuff that I've done on this thing, and you know, it's I haven't really extensively modified it yet, but there are definite modifications in the plans. So that's it for this one. That's my bike, 2013 Honda CRF250L.